All right, what's happening, everybody? We're back. Morning show this morning. I said that I had learned that today was going to be the day. It was D-Day, and I was expecting the hire to get done today. But Drew Petzing was not on the radar at all. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive this morning we were talking about the former Cardinals head coach. I said, yeah, it wouldn't be a fit. But Drew Petzing, nowhere on that radar. So I'm a little surprised. I don't know as much as I'd like to. So in the last 12 minutes now that the news was announced formally, I have some things for you. So I did put some things together. Let's dig into it. I guess there's a lot going on online that is not looking good, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I can already tell that a lot of fans are just going to be pissed that we didn't get Mike McDaniel. But if you listen to this channel, I've been telling you since day one, it was never going to happen. Just forget the pipe dream, and fill that pipe up with something else and smoke it, because that wasn't going to happen. Here we go. Let's just take a look at the announcement here by Adam Schefter. It says, Detroit Lions are working to finalize a deal to hire former Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing as the next offensive coordinator. So cheers to you, Drew. God, I hope you're better than Johnny Morton. Anyway, nice bald, shiny head. Come on, man. You got a perfectly round noggin like that. He's got to be good. Has to be. I'm just kidding. All right. Here's what I know. And here's what I don't know. I don't know a lot. Just yet. I'll be the first to admit that. I don't know a ton about this guy, but I have some good background information. So, first let me get the chat out. See who we're working with today. How many of you guys even thought about this guy's name? To be honest, because I haven't even seen it pop up in any of the morning shows at all. But that doesn't mean, that none of you were thinking about the guy. All right, so Drew. Oh, let's wind it back. Here's what we have. Comes from the Kevin Stefanski tree. Mike Zimmer scheme. Likes to run the West Coast gap scheme, run hybrid system. So we like that. We love that, actually. The West Coast gap scheme, it's great for the run game. I hope to God this is going to be a marriage of the West Coast. Like, if that's what he's really going to bring, that's dinking and dunking it, hoping for explosives, right? I don't want Johnny Morton number 2, because he brought that West Coast BS into Detroit and it was not working. Let's see. I don't like the fact that he's coming from a non-winning organization. That I don't like. But he is a disciple of Kevin Stefanski. So, were the Lions hot after Stefanski? Is that what I'm getting here? That maybe they really wanted Stefanski and he was taking a head coaching job. So what's better than just to take from his tree? I don't know. But he has worked, with Stefanski, both Minnesota Vikings and Cleveland Browns. He is not a quarterback guru. That's not good. His background is diverse, though. He's having coached wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks before becoming an offensive coordinator. Which, I mean, that's good, right? So he has a wide, diverse range of experience, if you will. Serge, which part scares you? Because I'll tell you what scares me is the fact that he's not coming from a winning organization. That's what scares me. Not saying that he can't be good. That's what I'm not saying. Like, I'm going to give the guy a chance. Let's give the guy the old college try here. Right? I mean, I think that we've just learned a hard lesson. And I don't think Dan Campbell's a stupid man. I don't think that he's going to make the same mistake twice and bring in somebody that is not going to move this ship, in a different direction. And who knows? Maybe he's walking in and Dan's saying, look, it's going to be this. We're going to operate out of this, and you're going to have to adapt to it. Or maybe he's very comfortable with whatever the Lions want to run anyway. Honestly, between me, you, and the wall, we're not going to know anything until we get our asses to camp this year. Unless a press release happens and they say that this is what we're going to run, which I don't think that the Lions are going to do that. And the reason why I don't think that they're going to do that is because they don't want anyone knowing what they're going to do anyway. You're just going to have to wait till camp, and then we'll see a little bit of it. A little bit more about this guy. So, wide background with wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks. Prior to being an offensive coordinator, his background is heavily influenced the scheme that he loves. So, it prioritizes the tight end position. I think Eric just mentioned that this morning, and so did I. Operating, like I mentioned this morning, I want more jumbo sets. I want more 13 personnel. I want more 6 and 7 man protection schemes to get Jahmyr Gibbs out in space. Get that dude off the edge where he's just one touch away from the end zone. Had we had done that more this last season, we probably would have won at least one more game. Would have been in the playoffs. Not that it would have amounted to much, but hey, a win's a win. Now, 2020 to 22, with the Cleveland Browns, he served as the tight end coach, developing David Njoku, and he was a quarterbacks coach. He learned under the under center, wide zone, and gap scheme run game that really defines his play calling today. I do like that. I can't even lie. Like that, I love. Hired by Jonathan Gallen to install the pro style of offense with Arizona, and then moving Kyler Murray away from the air raid shotgun system of Cliff Kingsbury, if I could talk today. So what the hell does that mean? We like shotgun in Detroit. Matter of fact, Jahmyr Gibbs has more yards per average touch out of the shotgun against the blitz than any other back in the league. We love shotgun. What we don't love is we don't love Jared Goff under center without an offensive line. That we don't love. So let's just hope that Brad and Dan have the plan to fix, punch you back in your mouth kind of football here, right? We need to run it down their throats. I don't know how y'all holding up today. I guess there's like 100 car pile up out there in Zealand or something. I'm freezing. The studio really never warmed up today. Freezing in here today. But hope you're all staying warm today. Anyway, so here's his core tenets. As far as what I expected he's going to bring, it's what I asked for. Tight end factory, man. That's what this guy's all about. And the more you have your tight ends involved in this game, the more you're going to lean into your run game too, because those two really go hand in hand. 12 and 13 personnel is going to be heavy. Petzing loves a heavy package. He frequently used the 2-12 personnel or even the 3-13 personnel, 3 tight ends to force defenses into base packages, which we love that too. And then tries to create mismatches in the passing game. If you go back to what Ben Johnson was doing, with Dan Campbell, 22, 23, I think that you saw a lot more leverage in the passing game, that we were trying to get guys isolated, if you will, isolating the linebackers on the tight ends or isolating the running back Gibbs on a linebacker now in the pass game this year. A lot of those things can work, and they can work well. So I hope that some of this stuff comes, and I hope some other things evolve. Now, the gap scheme rushing, unlike the pure zone runs out of the Shanahan tree, are intriguing to me. I'm going to have to do a little studying on this, but Petzing utilizes the gap concept, power, counter, and pin and pull, which those three we are very comfortable with in Detroit, especially the pin and pull. Powers and counters, man, we love it. His run games have historically been productive in producing a top 5 rushing numbers in 23 and 24. So what he has been able to do, I mean, it's lining up. It's lining up so far. And then he's got the QB split, which has been a major criticism, predictability issue. With running, so a major criticism, Petzing has been, I guess, accused of being too predictable at times. Now, being new and being in Detroit, it could take 6-8 weeks before, teams really figure out your tendencies. It could be a year. And then even at that, it could be 2 seasons, but I would say at least 1 season where we might be good. With backup quarterbacks, Brissett and Dobbs, the offense is roughly 50% under center, utilizing heavy play action. It is often efficient and keeps defenses guessing. That's a win. That is a win right there. 50-50. I'm okay with that. I love to be in shotgun a little bit more. As long as Jared Goff has protection up front, I don't care that he's under center. That's just my own personal affliction towards it all. Now, with Kyler Murray, the last couple of seasons, especially in 25, the offense shifted to a 79% shotgun. So analysts noted that it was a fatal flaw here. It was too predictable. Shotgun was equaling pass. Under center was run. Exactly what I was saying in this morning's morning show. Can't have that stuff. I was talking about with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. It's like we knew when David Montgomery is coming in, we're going to pound it. We're going to go between the tackles. That's what David's here to do. When Gibbs gets in the game, you didn't know whether he was going to run outside or he was going to go out for a pass, but at least you had that mixture of opportunity with Gibbs in the game. But when David came in, it was too predictable. So I think if you mix up their usage, if David's still on the squad this year, if you mix up their usage and you give them equal touches, and I don't mean, let me rephrase that. Give them equal opportunity. Don't just give, Montgomery the ball between the tackles. Give him something outside, right? Give him an opportunity to break one outside. Because then defenses aren't just going to come in and close down that box on you and know that, man, we just got to cover these 3-4 lanes. That's it. No, let him bounce it outside. He's been dangerous there. Performance timeline here with Arizona and Petzing. It's an interesting name, Petzing. 2023, they're saying it was an overachieving debut. Okay, 4-13, despite a bad record. Petzing was praised. He built a functional offense with Joshua Dobbs. Remember Dobbs? He was in Detroit for a hot second. And after Kyler Murray recovered, they were a top 5 rushing offense, and Trey McBride had a breakout season. Hey, let's hope that Sam Laporta gets healthy, and maybe we end up drafting another tight end this year. We'll see. I think that it's possibly on the list. 2024 was a peak. It wasn't great. The Cardinals were 8-9. 8-9. So the offense found its stride. They rushed for 2,451 yards, third most in franchise history. They averaged an historic 5.29 yards per carry. That seems like small potatoes for us, right? It's like what we've been doing. So keep it moving. Keep it pushing forward. If you can do that in Arizona, you should be able to push that number closer to 2,800 yards in Detroit with these guys. Kyler Murray posted solid volume stats, 3,800 plus yards. The unit looked like a legitimate playoff contender. But then the wheels fell off in 25. The offense regressed significantly, and the predictability of the scheme was exposed. The flaw on third and medium, this is the problem. The offense passed 100% of the time. Too predictable. You get into third and manageable, 4 to 6, 4 to 7 yards, and you're passing 100% of the time. Defenses are just going to tee off on you. Can't happen. Anyway, you can find all this on DetroitFootballJournal.com. It'll be posted here in just a little while after I get off this live event. I've been working up a little article on him here in the last 20 minutes or so before I went on, or 15 minutes, whatever it was. Now I want to hear from you. I want to see what's in the chat. All right, what do we got? Robbie's, what do you got to say, man? I've missed everything in the chat. I wish we had like some sort of an AI tool that would summarize what the chat says for me, because I don't know what you guys are talking about. John Desai says, man, this was a surprise. Trey says, so he basically really had nothing to work with You must be talking about in Arizona. Yes. Nope. He didn't have much to work with out there. Looks like we got a lot of negative news in here. All right, let's just do a poll, damn it. Let's just do a poll. Are you happy or are you not? Are you excited about Petzing? And if you're not, we'll do another poll in a minute. It's okay. I have a feeling it's going to be no. But explain to me why. Is it because you wanted Mike McDaniel? If it's because you wanted Mike McDaniel and you're not a regular on this show, then do us all a huge favor and subscribe right now. Stick around, turn the notification bell on, and get prepared for a great season of draft work right here on Rockhound Detroit Lions. I tend to think I do the best draft work out there, but I know that, at least in this community, I think we do pretty good here. We have a long way to go, and I would love your help. If you would like to be part of it, if you'd like to jump in some shows, if you'd like to work on some articles, you let me know. We'll make you all a part of it all season long. That's the goal here. Okay, so if you wanted Mike McDaniel, you would have heard me tell you 2 weeks ago it's not happening. There's no way that there was 5 names on my list, and it was probably like the first 4 or 5 articles that I did that I said there was no way. We're not going to get a head coach coming in here as an offensive coordinator, and the reason why is this simple, and Dan gave you the answer. I mean, he has this way of telling you what exactly he's going to do if you just listen. What he said was, he was talking about taking over play calling. And the reason why was that way you didn't have to worry about the play caller leaving next year. So he didn't know if he was going to continue being a play caller or not. Or maybe he is going to do play calling with Petzing, and Petzing is going to be the game manager, the game planner. We don't know. But when he made that statement, that told me right then and there that we are not going to get someone on this 1-year rental BS. It wouldn't make any sense in the world for us to bring in a Mike McDaniel that you know damn well wants a head coaching job, and that's where his heart is. So why would you bring him in for a year and then have to break it all down, rip it all apart, and redo it in 2027? That's a lot of hard work on your playmakers. I don't think a lot of us give enough credit to what these guys go through every year. But now, understanding that, it was never going to be Dable, even though he was, part of the tops of my list. McDaniel would have been great, but it just never made sense. Stefanski never made sense. Harbaugh never. I mean, come on, he never made sense. Tomlin, he's probably retired, going to media. He would have never made any sense. He's a defensive guy anyway. So any name out there that was really a former head coach just didn't make a ton of sense. So Dan and Brad have 3 years left on their contracts, effectively, right? 26, 27, and 28. They're bringing a Lombardi home in those next 3 years. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is consistency. You have to have consistency. Stop believing in these people telling you that there's a 1-year wonder, the one player away fix it to a Super Bowl. It is ludicrous to me to believe in that. Skater Boy, dude, that is a great question. Love it. And please put it in caps if you've got questions for me. I'll see that quicker. I don't always see everything in the chat. That is a great question. I'll get to that today. Maybe I'll be able to do a video about it if I still have time. Great question. And honestly, I don't know. So I'm not trying to trash anyone because everyone has their own opinions. But if someone is telling you that there's this quick, easy fix for anything, it's usually not the truth. Right? There's nothing that's ever good is quick and easy. Pause on that. You could make up your own thought process on that one. Nothing that's quick and easy is usually ever good. When we had a good thing going, we had consistency, did we not? When the Lions have been futile in this NFL for 6 decades, what did we not have? Consistency. We are having new coaches, new head coaches every 3.3 years on average, or whatever the number was. I think Matthew Stafford went through 5 offensive coordinators. So tell me again, what did we do well? We didn't do anything well. We lost. We lost because we had no consistency. So, sorry, man. I'm like draining. It's so cold in here. I feel like I'm outside, but I know it's not cold in here. Sorry about that. So let's have some consistency, right? And if Petzing's the guy, he's the guy. I was really hoping that Jake Peetz was the guy, to Jack Bain's comment. Man, I thought he made the most sense too. 1,000. I said it this morning. I said it last night on Twitter. Jake Peetz is the guy. I heard some grumblings last night, and that's why I said I thought today was going to be the day. I thought for sure this morning when Eric said, we've got some breaking news, I'm like, there it is. We got our OC. He's going to be hired. No, McDermott was fired. I'm like, damn. But I knew something was happening today. I just didn't know what exactly. I just heard the grumblings. It's coming, Will. It's coming today. Pay attention. All right, I see some questions in here. Hold on. Skater Boy says, who knows what his offense is as player-wise? Or who knows what his offense is as players? I'm confused on your question, buddy. Let's see. Southwest Line says, Will, do we agree that we hired this guy with the idea that no one will hire him as a head coach? If yes, we can only hope he ends up being good. No. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we didn't bring in McNugget, whatever you want to call him, because he was going to be a head coach. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you don't bring in a guy that's a former head coach this year that if they don't get a head coaching job this season, they're gone next year when the 2, 3, or 4 jobs open. That's what you don't want. If someone's coming for Petzing next year and he's that good, it is what it is. I mean, there's nothing that you can do about it. It is what it is. But I think that you're hiring the best guy for your offense. I think that you're trying to hire the best guy that gives you the best opportunity. Like-mindedness, schematically, they've got to be able to blend to be a chameleon in that locker room. It has to be the right fit. So I get it. There's a lot of people out there that want to say that this is just a one-year wonder and go out and get a $50 million edge and, the $40 million Cadillac, center, whatever. Go get the best of the best and we'll win. And when we don't, then what? You've got to throw it all away. I don't want to start all over again. I don't know about you, but yeah, 9-8, not good enough. Yeah, it wasn't. We should be in the playoffs. But what good are we in the playoffs if we can't even compete at a high level because we don't have an offensive line this last season? And our scheme was trash. So fix those things. Get us back up to being consistent again. Get healthy. Make the tough decisions. Move on from a few players. And let's go to work. But we can't do that every year. These guys go through so much. These players are only here for so long. Goff's been here 5 seasons. Can you believe that? 5 seasons. Like we were just talking about the dude coming into Detroit. It's been 5 seasons already. It's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, what? 4th season? Next season? It's going to be Aiden's 5th season next season. You see how quickly time flies? Man, if you got to start over all the time, you're not going anywhere. You're not. Let's see. Is Evan Brown that plays with them as left guard the same one who was here? Probably. All right, so since you asked the question, let's take a look, man. Let's take a look at the Cardinals free agents. You want to know free agents, right? We're going through the top 50. We started today. We'll probably finish it tomorrow. We're just going to start right with that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Join us for the morning show, 8 to 10. Sometimes 8:30 to 10:30. Sometimes 8 to 12. Usually 8 to 10. All right. Free agents. They have Jonah Williams, left tackle. Jalen Thompson, safety. Calais Campbell, isn't he like 93 years old? They have Calvin Beachum, right tackle. That's another thing. I keep hearing this switching Penei Sewell from right to left. I think that's a bad idea. Like, he is settled in. He is solid as they can be at right. I think doing that would be a grave mistake. But I'll let the coaches coach, man. I'll just be back here talking about it on my GM chair here on Mondays. Right guard, Will Hernandez. Let's see who else is in here. Who else is in here? Greg Dortch, wide receiver. Here, what am I doing? Let me just throw it up on the screen for you. Hell. Oh, goodness. Where is it? There you go. Whoops. There you go. All right. Here's your free agents from the Cardinals. So I would say this. Without knowing his exact stats right now, this Channing Tindall, he's popping out at me for some reason. We do need a linebacker. Remember this Zonovan Knight, he used to be on our squad. Starling Thomas used to be on our squad. Maybe we see him come back now that he's gone in and had a lot of time to get some reps. But I don't really see a whole lot of guys on here. I don't know enough about Jonah Williams and his time in the league and how he's progressed. He's 29 years old, 15 million, a year APY. I don't know, man. Maybe as a backup. If we're gonna bring anybody in at that kind of money, it has to be someone that can start. Has to be. All right, so if you're just getting in, if you're just joining now, the quick recap here is the Lions have hired Petzing as their offensive coordinator. That is definitely not the right one. I'm just fishing out in the middle of the water here. There we go. Let's get rid of that one. Anyway, so Petzing has now been hired, former Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator to the Detroit Lions. I kind of went over everything that I wanted to share about him. I will drop an article here probably in an hour, and then give my rundown here of what I think about him. Yeah, I am considering visiting some Arizona channels tonight. I just seen this. Jack Bain says, man, all the Arizona fans are roasting this guy. All right, what are you seeing? Where are you seeing it? Let's just jump on it right now. Let's just jump on it right now. I'm going to jump over to X and see what we can find. I'll share it. I'll share it live. Where's Robbie? Is he still in here? Oh man! As soon as I Google Drew Petzing, the first account that pops up is, has Drew Petzing been fired? That's not good. Let's see. Tournament Tammin says they went from Ben Johnson to Drew Petzing in 2 years. Huh. Lions hiring Drew Petzing is an absolute disaster. One of the worst offensive coordinators in football while with the Cardinals. Okay. They thought they were getting Mike McDaniel. Drew Petzing, it is champ. Drew Petzing is so good, I'm worried he's a little too good. GMs have to be noticing. Now, that's by Kyle Odegard. Kyle Odgard from... Here, you know what? Let me just throw this up here. Let me throw this up here. There we go. Whoa, where'd it go? Oh, come on. Come on. All right, let me get this out of the way. Got too many screens open. Try that again. I don't know if it's going to stick on there or what. Why? What's its problem? What is its problem? I don't know. You know, sometimes technology can just suck it. I swear to God. Anyway, Kyle Odgard says that this guy might be too good. I don't know. That was just October 8th. What else do we have in here? Adam Schefter confirming. Let's keep going back. Yeah, there's a lot of people not liking this. All right, then this guy, Blake Allen Murphy, says Drew Petzing getting the Lions OC job with all the talent available. So is this a talent problem? Did Petzing not have the talent in Arizona? I mean, I would agree that he didn't. I mean, tell me how loaded that roster was not. Let's take a look. Let's go back to the Cardinals depth chart. Now, there definitely was some playmakers on this squad. I'm not going to lie. But it's not like this roster was a world beater by any means. That team's been in a constant rebuild forever. Interesting thought just crossed my mind. Roy Lopez obviously has a decent relationship with this guy. I mean, they at least have to cross paths a few times. When you take a look at Arizona Cardinals depth chart, my God, it's so eerily similar to what I'm seeing with the Lions. IR. That's it. That's all I see. I hope the Lions never hire somebody with the first name that starts with an I and the last name that begins with an R. That would just haunt me every single night. All right. I'm going to try to put this on the screen, though. I don't know why it wasn't working. That one works. Weird. My bad. All right, here we go. Here's the depth chart. Jacoby Brissett is your quarterback with Kyler Murray. Okay, so when did Kyler Murray go out? What week? Does anybody remember? I don't even think it matters. Kyler Murray's not a great quarterback. Michael Carter as their running back. Is he a good running back? Where did he finish this year? James Conner, he was on IR. Since when, which week did he go out? Marvin Harrison, he was on IR. Damn good receiver, though. Xavier Weaver, Jalen Brooks, Michael Wilson. I mean, none of these names are world beaters. Their entire team was pretty much on IR. Harrison, Fahoku, Connor, Murray, Dortch, Zay Jones. Their entire offense on IR. Evan Brown, Frohold is the center, which I don't think he's very good, if I remember correctly. Will Hernandez was on IR. Calvin Beachum, starting right tackle, he made it. Jonah Williams on IR. All right, let's go defense. Josh Sweat, Clyde Campbell, Thompson, Robinson, which, yeah. Buda Baker. This is not a great roster. I'm sorry. That's not a great roster. All right, so let's cut back to the chase here. Because I just saw his name pop up again. Mike McDaniel. You had Mike McDaniel in your building. Look, that dude is interviewing with everybody. If you guys didn't know, today is D-Day, really, in the NFL. So today is the first day that you can have in-person interviews. And that's why, like, Calvin Shepard is getting an opportunity today for his in-person interview, and others around the league. So really a lot doesn't happen until today. I mean, you had two movements so far, and now rosters are going to start to be assembled as far as coaching staff rosters. But that all starts really today. And over the next couple of weeks, it's really going to shape up. I would say you're going to get a lot more by the end of this week. So we'll see what happens. But I never expected McDaniel to be in the house. Michael Wilson had, 1K yards? Well, I hope he did. He was the last receiver standing. Let's see. Seems like another shaky candidate. And I hope not. Nobody 05 says, I'm willing to give him a chance. There you go. There you go. Got to give him a chance, man. There's no reason to stay mad forever. Right? Unless, hold on, I'm trying to find something. You guys all probably think,
you sound insane. Do you realize that?
You guys
fucking crazy, man.
Think I'm crazy.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
Give the dude a chance. That's all I can say. If it doesn't work out, what do we got to lose, man? Oh, if we got someone trying to call in, I'll try to turn up the phone lines. Why not? Let's jack up the phone lines. You guys can air out your grievances. I just know that my audio is going to dip off. It always does. I haven't had any time yet today to go in and investigate, but we'll open up the phone lines. Here we go. Let me get the old ticker going here. There you go. There's the phone number. 313-podcast, just above my head here. 313-podcast. If you want to call in, air it all out, man. Tell me how much you hate it, how much you love it. What do you know? Are you an Arizona fan? Are you not? You Lions fan? Are you Drew Petzing's brother? Why is it not? Hold on. Raw, call back. It's not ringing. Call back, Raw. Give me 1 sec. My God. Just problems today. Hold on, Raw. Raw, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, there you go. What's happening, man?
Not too much, man. I'm sorry for disrupting your show here.
You're good.
I'm just reading through the comments, and I see a lot of negative Nancy's there.
It's all right.
And I really don't understand. They're trying to compare what he did in Arizona versus what he could do in Detroit. When you look at that Arizona roster, let's just start with the forefront. He had Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is by no means an accurate quarterback, nor is he one who actually wants to play football. He's been recorded numerous times saying, I wish I would have went to baseball, which he was drafted for, but he chose football. He doesn't want to be a football player. He doesn't want to play at all. He wants to play video games. That's who they have as a quarterback. Guy who doesn't study, he wants to play video games. Okay? Secondly, let's talk about their newest draftee, a shell of his father, Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay? That man literally plays like he hates it there. Everything is no effort, half speed. Okay? You got tight end Trey McBride, who developed in this system, who plays relentlessly, who had a Pro Bowl season. Absolutely. The dude is extremely gifted. And he is outperforming your wide receivers. A 6'4", 4'3" guy is being outperformed by a tight end. Maybe that's due to his quarterback. Who knows the relationship they have there. But essentially, that offense is a mess. Their running backs kept getting killed and ended up on IR. They have no O-line. They've never had an O-line. Now, one Cardinal fan did mention in the chat that they respectively kept close games against the 49ers and the Seahawks this year and last year with a very depleted roster. And he thanks him for that. So I'm inclined to kind of listen to what that guy has to say more than half of these fans in the chat, because it is super negative in this chat.
Well, you know what, Raw, we've had a rough year, man. We've had
Absolutely.
a rough year. Our fans have had it. And I apologize about my audio. It's probably dipping off a little bit. We don't know why it's doing this, but it's doing it. So, look, I'm gonna give the dude a chance. You know, the thing that I was, when I was doing some quick research that I came up with is, the disciple of a Kevin Stefanski tree and in mimicking what he's done, with the Browns and the Vikings. Look, those aren't terrible schemes. The gap scheme, he prefers power counter run concepts over pure zone. Okay. That could be different. The tight end centric, utilizing heavy 12 and 13 personnel. We want that back. The run first priority. He establishes the ground game to set up the pass. I love it as long as you're not stubborn. Under center, 50-50 shotgun versus under center. As long as we have adequate offensive line, there's nothing wrong with that. What I'm worried about is if he becomes too predictable like he did in Arizona. If he utilizes the West Coast offense and all he does is dink it and dunk it around it rather than the deep vertical shots, well, then we're wasting talent. You might as well trade J-Mo at that point because he's not a West Coast receiver. You need to go find somebody else that can run slot concepts than a guy that's just going to run downfield.
I did watch a few Arizona games this year, and it's not for the lack of effort of trying to throw the ball down the field. You saw Marvin Harrison Jr. run some downfield plays, some downfield routes. It's more of the limitations of the quarterback trying to put the ball on him. And when Harrison Jr. is running downfield, you do see him run kind of half speed, like he doesn't believe the ball's coming to him, so there's really not a whole lot of effort that he's contributing on any given play either. Marvin Harrison Jr. could be an elite and exceptional talent, just like his father was. He literally could do what Randy Moss was doing, but you have to want it. And to me, he doesn't want it. Now, he's come into a system where he has an extremely accurate quarterback, where he's not just going to put the ball on a guy. He's going to be able to put the ball on the left or the right, depending on where the defense is, to let you gather yak. That's what Jared Goff does better than most quarterbacks in the league. He puts the ball in a position that A, keeps you safe as a offensive player, but B, puts you in a position to where it's a catch and run immediately. So having that sort of expert passer of the football as a quarterback could really blow open the whole lack of scheme that a lot of people are talking about this guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that you're going to have a marriage of things going on here. You know, you've got Dan Campbell that wants things done a certain way, and then you're going to have Jared Goff that wants things done a certain way. And so let's talk about that for a moment. We know one thing is for sure. Jared Goff, is my audio getting any better? Is it staying at all? Period.
It
No.
went up just a little bit.
God damn it! It keeps dropping. I thought I fixed it. We know this about Jared Goff. He's involved, right? He's going to be involved in these meetings to a degree. If Jared Goff doesn't have a good rapport immediately with this guy, then there's no reason to bring him in. I don't think that Dan Campbell is going to make that mistake. On the flip side, if something really crazy were to happen this year, then that could mean new quarterback. I don't see that happening either. He's got a $70 million price tag. Jared Goff ain't going nowhere. There's no way, unless they were restructured his deal and pushed it all down the road and then traded him. I don't see that happening, and I don't see that happening anyway. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you're keeping Jared Goff. So I'm going to go with the latter or the first. Jared Goff was involved in this conversation.
I don't believe any OC takes an offensive coordinator job with the designation that he's going to get rid of the starting quarterback there. I think the ideology is you're going to work with what's there and improve on what they do well and improve on what weaknesses are available. Now, this coach is definitely capable. If he wasn't capable, he wouldn't be in the NFL. He'd be in the college.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely capable. And I think it more has to do with what talent he had around him. I think they thought he could get more out of what they had there. And unfortunately, if you have, excuse my French, half-ass quarterback who's not really in it to win it, then what exactly are you gonna get more out of? Because the start of every play starts with your quarterback, and it ends with the ball hitting the turf.
Yeah.
We all know what Kyler Murray's famous for.
Look, Kyler
That
Murray
O-line wasn't impressive.
Yeah, I didn't know, half the stuff that you were talking about with Kyler Murray, just not really feeling it. Like, dude, you're young enough. You could have gone to play baseball. You still can.
He still can. He was drafted into the MLB. He chose to stick it out and play football. 2 years later, after he was drafted into the NFL and took up with the Cardinals, they still wanted him in the MLB. And he chose to stay playing football. His work ethic got a little better when they hired Drew. I think he started showing a lot more promise on the field as far as what his capabilities are. But his accuracy compared to Jared Goff is like, what are we talking about? Like, it's not even a comparison. You want to talk about accuracy compared to Jared Goff, let's go talk about Tom Brady or Dan Marino, because Kyler Murray sure as heck is not the comparison you want to make.
So here's a quick comment. Petzing was not responsible for the Cardinals' successful run game in 24. That was the thanks to the O-line coach, Clayton Adams. Adams left to be the OC at Dallas, and now Dallas has a run game. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think
I do not as well.
Yeah, I think that you have to have everyone on the same page. I mean, if you look at the Lions, they have one of the best offensive line coaches ever in Hank Fraley, and we have a dominant run game. But I think if you look at the OC and the situation that we had this year, which was to someone's point in the chat, kill, 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 kill. When you start hearing that, you know there's a problem. And when you're hearing it several times a game, you've got a bigger problem. And we had a big problem at OC. And because we had a problem at OC, we never got the run game. You know, they still played great. I mean, Gibbs still had a great season, but it wasn't as dominant as it could have been. We could have had 500-600 more yards this season had they just called the right damn plays. And if we had an offensive line. So,
well, you say Gibbs still had a good season. You look up his statistics this year versus last year, he had more work this year with the same sort of production.
More work or less work?
More work this year with the same production.
Well, he had less touches this year. He was 158 for 716. All right. Last year, he was 185 of 775. So, yeah, I think you had it flip-flop there. Better production this year based on the amount of touches. He was averaging more per carry, a little bit less in the TD department. But, yeah, he had a more productive season overall. It just didn't feel like it.
No, he was literally on the field for, like, every snap.
And if you look at Gibbs this year,
every snap.
Did I just lose you, Raw?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, we got someone
I
else.
just didn't want to talk over you.
No, yeah, we're good. We got someone else calling in too. Whoever's calling, just give me 1 second. So when you look at Gibbs, just call back in a couple minutes if you don't mind. If you look at Gibbs' stats this year, you know, yeah, he went down almost 200 yards. He also had 7 less touches. I mean, he was about even from what he was last season. A little bit less than the average, a little bit less TDs, more receptions, 25 more receptions on the season. So
yeah, but you're looking at touches. Let's look at general snap counts, because if you're looking at snap counts, like just because he's not getting the ball doesn't mean he's not in a position to get the ball. Right?
Oh yeah, no.
Workload volume definitely went up this year versus last year.
For Montgomery?
For Gibbs.
Yeah, I think Montgomery too. I did a piece on this a couple of weeks back. The touches went down.
I believe you did.
Yeah, the touches went down for Monty, and I think the production as far as how much he was on the field, I think both of them went up a little bit, but I think Monty went up 10%. So
yeah, but we're talking about Gibbs's production versus what they're actually using them. But that's all bananas, celery, and grain. You know what I mean? Like it's all part of a meal that ROC's got to draw up. I think we made a low key good hire, but we said the same thing about Johnny Morton when he came over from Denver, and that whole situation, we all know how that played out. It didn't mesh well, and we were calling for Johnny Morton to be replaced by week 4 or 5.
So I just got a text from a lifelong Lions fan, one of the guys that sits in the section, and I love his comment because here's what he's saying. So the Lions hired a new offensive coordinator. I'll tell you if it's a good hire after I listen to sports talk radio and see what Mike Valenti says. Oh, that's great.
If he dogs them, it's probably a good hire. If he brags about them, it's probably a bad hire.
There you go, right? There you go. Interesting, man. I'm sure we're going to talk more about it in the morning. See if we get a couple more phone calls.
More callers in there.
All right, brother.
I don't want to take up all of your time. You have a good day, sir. I'll continue watching.
All right.
Stay positive, Detroit Lions fans, because the Rockhound Lions are just getting started.
That's right, buddy. We'll see you, man.
Peace.
All right. So I missed a call earlier. Lines reopened again. For the next season, we'll have the whole. I mean, I can do the whole hold thing here. It's cumbersome. So anyway, look, I get it. A lot of you are going to be upset. A lot of you are going to think that we should have had X, Y, and Z. You know, should have been this guy, should have been that guy. In all honesty, the only guy that we need is Dan Campbell. That's it. As long as Dan Campbell is steering this ship, if things go extremely bad, then that's the guy you have to look at. It's not just the OC, it's not just the DC, it's everybody in the room has to work together, right? The defense has to give the offense opportunities, and the offense needs to stay on the field to give the defense a break. So everything has to work together. Petzing's going to get his shot, right? If they really thought that this was a bad hire, they wouldn't have brought him in. And if Jared Goff didn't have any say on it, I would be extremely surprised. I'm real interested because I've never heard this guy speak. I'm going to see if I can dial up let me see if I can dial up one of his press conferences real quick. I'm curious. You know a lot about somebody when you hear him talk, right? You at least you figure out a few things. Let me see what I can find. Give me like 40 seconds. I'll be right back. Be right back.
Yeah. On my phone was Peyton Manning. He said, Jeff, I feel your pain. Will you join me in exorcising the curse of Bobby Lane? Just like that, we started winning. Just like that, we were playoff bound. Just like that.
Drew, JG was talking about how with this mini
Bobby Lane turned around. Say goodbye. Oh, that sorrow. Say goodbye. Oh, that pain. Say goodbye. To the same old life. And the curse of Bobby Lane. Everybody say goodbye. Oh, that sorrow. Say goodbye. Oh, that pain. Say goodbye. Same old life.
All right, we found one here. Let's see what this guy has to say. So this was 3 months ago, September 30. It was a coordinator's press conference. So this is about 1 month into the season.
buy, the coaches are still going to be in the building. What do you feel like you guys accomplished in this quote-unquote mini buy?
I think the benefit of having some extra time after a short week is it gives you a chance to go back and watch your tape, spend a little extra time on maybe the next opponent or two, but also evaluate where you're at, what you need to do better, what you've done at a really high level, in a way that maybe you wouldn't get to spend quite as much time during a standard week when you're game planning.
Watching the film and having some extra days to think back to Thursday's game, what were the differences efficiency-wise from the first 3 quarters to the last one for your offense?
Yeah, one of the big things got going there in the fourth quarter was really excited with how the guys stayed resilient and kept playing at a high level and playing hard. I think you saw that in the way we were able to claw back in that game. Seattle's certainly a really talented defense just based on how they played and the players they have, the scheme. I think it was a number of things. I think some of the penalties hurt us early in some tough situations. Some of it was execution. It's going to take all of us to operate at that level like we did in the fourth quarter, but certainly that's the goal. And I think now we kind of saw it, and we need to find a way to maintain it.
You guys ran out of 11 personnel, maybe more than you ever have. How did you feel like that progressed throughout the game, and how do you feel about maybe having to use that going forward?
Great question. Definitely something we kind of had a feel for going into the game, and I think that when we talk about it in here too, it's every game is going to be so different based on the matchup, based on who we have available in the game. So that was just kind of the plan in that game and kind of how the game played out based on the score and the flow of the game. It may be that way coming up. It may be completely different.
What do you do in a game?
All right, I'm just gonna say it for what it's worth. Cerebral dude. He's quick, he's sharp, he's witty, his answers are clean, and he knows what the F he's talking about. Let me rewind you back in just a few moments to a Johnny Moe press conference, and you'll see the difference. Let's listen a few more minutes here to Drew Petzing.
Where Marvin started as rough as he did and then finished as strong as he did. Like in the moment, like how do you deal with a player like that? And are there emotions involved?
I think there's always emotions involved in football, good, bad, all of the above, right? Throughout the course of a game, the highs and lows, the ups and downs, that's a big part of football. And my thing and my message to him was right after the play, like, I'm not treating you different. I'm not calling it different. Like, he's as good a player as there is in this league, in my opinion. And we're going to need him to make big plays. And I said that to him. I looked him right in the eye. I said, look, we're going to be good. You're going to be good. We're going to need you if we're getting back in this game. And I was really excited to see him push through that and go out and make those plays down the stretch and get us back in that game. It was, that's not an easy thing to do. And I thought he showed a ton of resilience throughout that game. And obviously the ability there at the end to make those plays.
Those contested catches, do you kind of see that as his standout skill?
I think it's one of the many things.
All right, now let's listen to Johnny Moe. This is back in end of July, so we're in training camp.
How we doing? Great. I'm excited today. Well, for a couple reasons. Tight red zone. We're in the red zone, scored touchdowns, which they've done an unbelievable job here, scoring touchdowns. Top 5 in the league every year. But also just, this is our 7th day of install. So, we've put a lot on the guys here. 7. And they've done an exceptional job. I mean, you do an install every day, that's a lot. You know what I mean? So, but I think it's going really well. And I'm really excited. I'm also excited, John Gruden's going to be here today. And he's been a big influence, mentor in my life. He's the one that got me started, and he's influenced a lot of other coaches too. So I'm excited for him to be here the next couple of days. So that being said, any questions?
All right, we heard excited what? 10 times? 3, 5 times? I don't know. John Gruden was already mentioned in one of his first press conferences. I'm not super impressed here. Let me find another one. Let's do it in season one. Let's do it in season one because I think that's what's going to separate Johnny Moe and anybody else that we listen to. And here we go. I could fix this.
Can't wait to get on the field. Dan Quinn, this guy does a heck of a job. Known him before in the past when I was in San Francisco, going against him in Seattle a lot. Him and Pete Carroll, they've always done a great job. Sound football, they're really detailed. Get after the ball, they attack the ball, try to create turnovers. They've always done a great job. Dan's got a lot of respect for him. Looking forward to it. Any questions?
When you've got an offensive line that...
Again, you don't get anything from the guy. You get nothing. He mentions everybody. Every press conference, all we heard was they do a great job. They get after the ball. They try to create turnovers. Well, tell me a team that doesn't. Tell me a guy that isn't prepared. Because if you're not prepared in the NFL, we got problems. But Johnny Moe wasn't prepared. Not prepared at all. So I think that we're getting a huge upgrade just from that perspective alone. Right? Oh, we got a caller. Hold on. All right. You're on the line here. Rock down Detroit Lions. Who is it?
This is Miles.
Miles, what's happening, Miles?
Oh, not much, man. So I just wanted to say, new face in the show. I'm 22 years old, so not as old as some other Detroit Lions fans, but been a Lions fan all my life growing up. And one thing I just want to say about Petzing, I think this was a hire for us, for an offensive coach to have for more than 2 years. I'd like to point that out because a lot of people are upset about, we didn't pick up other offensive coaches. Well, I think this is somebody who's willing to stay here, for more than 2 years. Like that was an issue with Ben Johnson. Obviously, he was there for a couple of years, but as soon as, a lot of these coaches in this league, especially nowadays, get the opportunity to be a head coach, a lot of them are going to take that up. And I think as well as another thing is I think Petzing has the ability to probably slow down our offense a little bit. I think one thing we've struggled with this year is Dan Campbell going for it consistently on fourth down, especially when we're in field goal range. There's many games we've lost to doing that. And I think that's something that, he has the ability to play it a little bit smarter, because unlike 2 to 3 years ago when we were playing the risk play, we don't need to do that anymore, given the talent we have on this team.
Dude, I would agree with all of that. I mean, I like the slow down approach too, because to your point, consistently going for it on fourth down isn't always a winning recipe. I mean, I think Dan Campbell has been using better judgment and leverage in certain situations. But I do got to wind back to the first thing you said, man. 22 years old. You've been a Lions fan your whole life.
Yes, sir.
It's tough, right? I started as early as I can remember, but 4 years old was my first experience on the field. Billy Sims was on the field back then, if that tells you anything.
Yep.
28 years this year of season tickets, so it's been a long time. So I appreciate your fandom, because at a young age, in the new age, you could have picked any team you wanted, and
exactly,
you stuck with your Detroit Lions. So hopefully you get a Super Bowl before you're 45, wondering what the hell you did.
And I think there's a lot of talk, our Super Bowl window is closed and everything. And, I think that's a lot of hearsay. It might take us a little bit of time, but I think the organization itself has changed.
Oh, yeah.
As well as, I think given the fact that, he, like you were mentioning earlier, he kind of groomed Trey McBride into being like one of the best tight ends in the league. Sam Laporta has the ability to do this.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'd be very interested to see is if, you have Jameson Williams, fastest wide receiver in the entire league, and then, Amon-Ra, who's easily top 3 in the league, in my opinion. And, if you're able to utilize those two, I think that next year what I would like to see is if he's able to kind of create an X factor with Isaac Tesla, because Tesla's stats were, kind of outrageous given his reception amount compared to his touchdowns. I don't really think that we gave him a chance to really show us what he could do. And we have the ability to have a triple threat wideout game. And, that just opens up the lane so much more for Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery as well.
Dude, you're spot on again. And I think, if we wind back to the history with Jared Goff, is new guys on the block tend to take a little bit more time, a couple more laps around before Jared Goff can fully trust him. Now, even though Jared will say he fully trusts him, you still had Khalif Raymond in the way. And had the Lions maybe not brought back Khalif Raymond this past year, Isaac Tesla would have been on the field a whole heck of a lot more. There would have been more opportunity. And you spoke of his, of his stats being, kind of imbalanced there. As far as efficiency, he was one of the most efficient guys out there. 27 targets, 6 TDs. He was racking in a touchdown 22% of the time. Or hold on, let me do that one more time. 22 divided by 6. 27 divided by 6. There we go. Every 4.5 catches, this guy is getting a touchdown. Like, that's insane.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's insane.
Exactly.
I think every 4.5 targets, every 4.5 targets, he's getting a touchdown.
Yeah, and see, with, I think, obviously me being young, I watch Calvin Johnson. He kind of reminds me of Calvin Johnson a little bit in the sense of his playmaking ability. I mean, his catches and coverage are outrageous for a rookie. You know what I mean? And I think his poise in the game as well is something a lot of people kind of underestimate with Isaac Tesla, because, like I said, he really hasn't had his opportunity to show what he can do, And, there's a lot of people who sound like they're, kind of hating on this pickup of Petzing, but at the end of the day, too, I'd also like to mention that Arizona kind of has a very inconsistent energy to them. I feel like a lot of their players, especially Kyler Murray is their quarterback. He doesn't have a connection with a lot of his players like Jared Goff does. And I think that, to your point, I think that if they can involve Isaac Tesla more and, he can kind of get the whole team itself, especially that wideout group, to understand what they need to accomplish with what Jared Goff needs to accomplish, I think they have the ability to actually easily make it to the playoffs next year.
Yeah, I think so too. I really like your statement here on Isaac Tesla. I mean, underutilized, yes. Are the Lions underprivileged in the wide receiver room? Absolutely not. I think that your triple threat statement will reign true this year, and the Lions will be doing big things as long as this Petzing guy is able to free Tesla up. Look, that guy has an amazing range. The way he catches the football, I mean, his finger grip is out of control. He barely used two hands to catch 2 touchdowns to start the season. So I'm excited to see where he goes too, man. Anything else you want to add on the season or?
Nope. Just want to say go Detroit, and don't give up on Dan Campbell.
That's right. All right. Appreciate the call, man.
Yep.
Don't be a stranger calling anytime we're live.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye-bye. All right. Love it, man. New callers, new faces. 22 years old, Lions fan. Been a Lions fan his whole life. And he gets it. He's like, give the dude a chance. There's some things that he can do. There's some things that the Lions didn't do. And we still have a long way to go. I mean, we're not even to free agency yet. Super Bowl's not even over. We're just getting started. I think the left shoe to drop would be this. Let's take this next caller. Rockhound Detroit Lions, who's on the line?
It is Lachlan.
Hey, how's it going, man? How are you?
Good. I'm calling. I am not a Detroit Lions fan, but I'm an Arizona Cardinals fan.
All right.
And I just wanted to tell y'all that Drew Petzing is not the greatest offensive coordinator from personal viewing experience.
What went wrong?
He is just not good. If you go watch when we had Kyler Murray, he made the offense where it was majority just throwing 5-yard checkdowns, like against San Francisco early in the season. Our offense just did not compute. Our defense was really good and then fell off just because the offense was on the field all the time and was just, or not all the time, really off quickly, and just got tired because he's not that good. So
let me ask you a question about that game. So you said the San Francisco 49er Arizona game?
Yep, in I think October or early, or something September, October-ish, yeah.
So beginning of the year, so you still had the majority of your playmakers on the field. Yeah.
Yeah, we had McBride, Harrison, Connor for half the game, but it wasn't great.
All right. I will take a look at the game. Always appreciate the call. I wish you could give me a few more definitive reasons as to why, but I'll watch the game today and we'll figure it out.
Just holler at me. Ask me any questions. We'll see, but yeah.
Well, okay, so I'll ask you this one. So you're saying that all he kept doing is throwing 5-yard checkdowns, and I guess my immediate response would be, what kind of defense were the 49ers running in that game that was promoting the fact that you couldn't get deep? And my first question there, were all of your main, playmakers in the game? Because if they were not, that's going to dictate what type of game plan that you're going to go in with. So I think it's all relative.
Majority, I know we had Trey McBride, who's top 2 tight end in the NFL. Now the season's over. We had Michael Wilson, who wasn't used as much because we had Marvin Harrison Jr. as our number 1. We had basically everybody. James Conner did go down with his knee injury at the end of the season, but I think even then the 49ers were fairly banged up on defense, especially towards the end of the season, how they were before the game against Seattle, where they got roasted and fried. But it wasn't even they put a lot of pressure because Nick Bosa, I'm fairly certain, got hurt in that game. So we didn't have a lot of edge pressure. And I think he was more scared about Kyler Murray's height than anything, not seeing over the line. So he would run like quick slants or RPOs to get the ball moving quickly, but it just never worked. And then our O-line wasn't as great because we did lose our O-line coach, Clayton Adams, to the Dallas Cowboys, and that's why their offense was really good. So, and we brought in some dude from Ohio State, and he was okay, but our run game was never there. And I know Detroit has a lot better, like, O-line and stuff that can block in Jahmyr Gibbs.
We used to. We used to, yeah.
But, I mean, especially later in the season, because I don't know if you know that Arizona had started, I think, 80 different players towards the end of the season. Like,
yeah.
And we had the most possible different lineups in NFL history. I mean, it sucks, but partially, I think the reason why we started getting blown out in all these games, you know, like against the Rams twice, against the 49ers, even with all their backups and stuff, even with Jacoby Brissett starting, I know the size difference is really big there. Jared Goff would be a lot better for that offense, but I think was because his play calling was so stale. It would be like runs on 3rd and 8 that would result in like a 1-yard gain. I know we had no running backs over 500 yards, and we started 4 different ones. I mean, Michael Carter and Bam Knight aren't the best running backs, but, you know, they're
I
still
can tell
okay.
you this. I mean, Bam Knight was our 4th or 5th string running back on the Lions. So if that's your 2nd string guy, that's your problem. And I guess you kind of answered the question for me. You guys broke the league with the most formations possible. And that should tell you right there that if you don't have cohesion, your offensive coordinator is not going to be able to have cohesion. But I'm watching the game right now, and I'm taking a look at, you know, well, I'm listening to a couple of things you said where you got beat by the Rams and the 49ers. Well, the Rams and the 49ers were just in the divisional round, 2 very good playoff football teams. And even though the 49ers were gravely banged up this year, they were returning players all at the right time. So you're talking about 4 losses against playoff teams, which that can happen. But even just watching this defense for the 49ers, the first 4 or 5 plays, I'm looking downfield to see, all right, is anybody open? Nope. He has to check it down. I'm watching Kyler Murray have all the time in the world. Your left tackle's jumping like crazy. Beach him. But he's surveying the field. He's finding the outlet pass. And you're right about one thing. A short quarterback, the NFL doesn't like short quarterbacks for a reason. Because your window of throwing is going to be right between the guard and the tackle on both sides of the field, and that's it. And that usually resolves in those dink and dunk, outlet passes, bubble screens, hitch screens, 5-yard ins, outs. It's all the short stuff. And that's what you see a lot with Kyler Murray, unless it's straight down the pipe on the seam, you know, when you're getting a tight end involved, which guess what? McBride is one of the best tight ends in the league, and there's your reason why. So it's not so much that Petzing, I believe, is going to be a bad answer. I just think he was on a bad football team with a bad quarterback that's not big enough to play the game. He's a great dude. He's a great backup, but he's not tall enough to be able to get that ball out at all the different arm angles that you need to hit all the routes on the field. So I appreciate you calling in and being so cool, calm, collected, and reserved about it. Hopefully, it's not what we experience in Detroit. Hopefully.
Yeah, hope not.
Wish you nothing but the best, though, because love Roy Lopez. Can you tell me about Roy Lopez a little bit? What did you think about him when he was on your team?
Oh, my. The defensive tackle?
Yeah.
Ooh. Man, I mean, he was fairly limited, I would say. Arizona's defensive line was fairly bad the past 2 years because we didn't really have the great personnel compared to where we're at now, but he was okay. I wouldn't say he was anything amazing, but he was solid at best. I mean, we were rotating a bunch of kind of just backups or whatever you want to say. We were rotating Chris Tonga, Dante Stills, like these like kind of dudes that were on their 3rd or 4th teams. I mean, I wouldn't say our defensive line's any better now. I mean, I would personally, when I was playing with the Cardinals in franchise mode, I would re-sign him sometimes because he was fairly solid as a rotational dude. But I mean, as long as you guys get like another dude to start over him, like we had Calais Campbell come in this year and stuff to like take reps off of the backups, you guys would be fine. I don't know if DJ Reader's still in the building or not, but
he'll be a free agent. But Roy Lopez, he played admirably for the Lions this year. He was easily one of one of the best guys in the room, getting into the backfield, creating some havoc, and so I've really enjoyed him, and I think he'll be back this year. I was curious what you thought about the guy in Arizona. He gave Frank Ragnow fits last year in Arizona, and that's why we picked him up. I think because that game really solidified it for us that he was a good rotational DT, like you said. But I appreciate the call, man. You have a good day, okay?
You too.
All right, man. Take care. All right, Arizona fan does not like the pickup. Well, maybe he likes the pickup for the Lions because he doesn't believe that Petzing is a good offensive coordinator. Hopefully, I made my case for us. I've loved Kyler Murray from afar as far as, good, talented football, player, but I've never believed in the non-prototypical size at quarterback. You got to be 6'2", and you have to have an arm, or you need to have a combination of smarts, arm, length, and Jared Goff has that. He has an arm. He doesn't have a cannon, but he has an arm, and he's got the smarts, and he has the length. There's four main things that you're looking for, and he has at least three of them. So anybody else want to call? Now's the time. Numbers flashing up there on the screen. The 302 kid says, great disappointment. This may be the beginning of the end of Dan and Brad. Very frustrating. Oof. That is a bold take. If you're trying to win, this isn't the type of a hire competent coach, GM, and team make. Sorry. Okay, so do me a favor. If you don't like the pick, if you think that this is a non-competent pick, who would have been your choice? And like to Jim Jackson's points, is 82% don't like this hire, not good. Okay. I'm 446 votes, man. We getting up there. Here's what I'm gonna tell you. Here's how I'm gonna respond. How many of y'all like the Jahmyr Gibbs pick when it first happened? How many of y'all like the Sam Laporta pick when it first happened? How many like the Jack Campbell pick when it first happened? How many? How many? Because I can guarantee you it was probably 82% that said no. Oh, you don't take a running back in the first round. You don't take a tight end in the second round. That linebacker at 18, right? Go around and listen to the national media. Every single person that had a mouth said something negative about the Lions in the 2023 draft. And those four players that they got in the first three rounds are some of the best in the league. I was sitting over here as the only guy doing content in my first season, called every pick before the draft, and then doubled down and said how good they were going to be later. And it happened. And I'm not saying that Drew Petzing is that pick, because honestly, I don't know yet. I only know what I wrote. I'll give you guys a quick recap of the article that'll drop whenever we get done doing this. I got to get Johnny Moe off my screen. It's not helping me recover from the season. Where is my article? Where did I put it? All right. Here's what I got. I'll give you guys a quick recap here of the research I did on Petzing. So, bio background, disciple of Kevin Stefanski coaching tree. He's having worked under Stefanski in Minnesota and Cleveland. He is not a quarterback guru, which is okay. We have a quarterback guy by his trade anyway. His background is very diverse, though. He's coached the wide receivers. He's coached the tight ends. He's coached the quarterbacks. I got to turn up my volume. Sorry. We've been having volume issues today. All right, so he's coached. It's going to get loud. He's coached quarterbacks. He's coached receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks before becoming an OC. So that's great to have all that knowledge and experience before taking on that role. The background is heavily influenced by his scheme, which also prioritizes the tight end position and the run game over the spread passing attack. Now, for me, if you go read all the articles that I dropped on DetroitFootballJournal.com, which if you sign up today, you'll get yourself a free 6-month membership. All you do is put your email in. You don't need to put a credit card or anything in. If you want to support the publication, you can. That's not what I'm asking for. I'm trying to give you a membership because any paywalled draft work, that's where it's going to be. And you won't be able to see it, but I'm giving you 6 months for free. So now between the start of the season, you're covered. Just go into DetroitFootballJournal.com, drop in your email, and I'll get you upgraded today. So the spread offense, I was hoping to see more of a spread offense. If we have more condensed formations, which is what I'm going to be studying today, we're going to be in trouble. Let's see who's calling. Hold on, we got another call. Hold on, hold the phone. Oh my goodness, it's not letting me get to it. You're going to have to call back, whoever it was. Why was it not letting me get to it? I'm on the struggle bus. And it wasn't ringing either, so I don't know what's up with that. Just give me a few minutes to call back. So offensive philosophy and scheme for this guy. He's run first. He's heavy personnel and West Coast style of an offense. I don't like dink and dunk. I don't like the compact formations. It is a little bit more distinctive, or at least visually distinctive, from the modern McVay or Shanahan schemes because of the heavy reliance on shotgun runs for Kyler Murray, while reverting to the traditional under the center play action for backup quarterbacks, which makes no sense to me. Kyler Murray, I think, was the problem in this scheme. I think Kyler Murray was the problem for Arizona. I think when Arizona gets a real quarterback this year, I think things will change. Now, the core tenets to this guy's offense are simple. It's tight end factory, man. He's heavily reliant on 12 and 13 personnel. He loves doing these big jumbo packages, and he's frequently going to use two of them, 12 personnel or 13 personnel. So either 2 or 3 tight ends on the field. And he's going to force defenses into base packages, which again, that is critical. When you're forced to be inside a base package, that's where Jared Goff is going to be able to figure out exactly what you're doing. Watch those safeties, right? If they start to move, if the cornerbacks are following the receivers, you can start to see what the defensive identity is on that play. And if he's able to negotiate that, Jared Goff is going to have a much easier ability at the line of scrimmage than he did this last season. So gap scheme rushing, unlike the pure zone runs of the Shanahan tree, Petzing utilizes more gap concepts. So power, counter, and pin and pull. Now, I'm good with all 3 of those, right? Duo is where are we going to run duo out of? Where's duo coming back from? Have to have some duo in here. Now, the run games have historically been productive, producing top 5 rushing numbers in 23 and 24. And what I read in here is that we're blaming or giving credit to the offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, the offensive line coach for the run game as opposed to the offensive coordinator. I don't think so. It usually doesn't work that way. Offensive line coach obviously works on protections, schemes with the offensive coordinator, and designing with the run game coordinator. If they both have, I don't know, did the offensive line coach for Arizona, was he also the run game coordinator? Because if he wasn't, then he really wasn't responsible for anything outside of protections. So we'll see. I'm going to watch a lot of film. The QB split, obviously there was a predictability issue. Major criticism of Petzing is how the scheme changed based on the quarterback. So if you had Brissett in there or Dobbs in there or Murray in there or whoever, totally different. If the backups were in there, it was roughly 50% under center, utilizing heavy play action, and it was often more efficient and kept defenses guessing. When Kyler Murray was in there, the offense shifted to 79% shotgun, 21% under center. You could already see the issue with that, right? Why are you putting Kyler Murray in shotgun? Because the dude can't see. He's 5'8" or whatever he is. He can't see over these big 6'7" guards and tackles. And if you go look at their depth chart, hold on. Let me look at something real quick. There he is. Evan Brown. Full hold. Okay. Yeah, you look at their depth chart, man. The left tackle, Beecham, he was only 6'3". That is not a normal height to be right tackle. That is not a normal height for a right tackle. Jonah Williams, 6'5". Isaiah Adams, right guard, 6'4". Frohold, center, 6'5". Evan Brown, left guard, 6'3". And Josh Fryer, left tackle, 6'5". So pretty big dudes, but we're not talking 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" guys like we have in Detroit. Imagine putting Kyler Murray behind Detroit's offensive line of this last 2 seasons. He wouldn't have got a pass off, period. Unless he's scrambling outside to get rid of the football. So I think that was a big problem. And that's where I understand Arizona fans' frustration with Petzing, because they're saying every time this quarterback's in, it's this. Every time it's, Murray, it's that. Well, Murray's the problem. He's the common denominator here. Now, I'm not going to go through the records. We know what the records are. When you look at his strengths, he's a run game designer. He's consistently producing elite efficiency. He's a tight end. His tight end utilization is off the charts. His adaptability with backups, I mean, that speaks more volumes to me about Petzing's ability to be able to adapt. He's adapting between 3 different quarterbacks in the season. That's pretty impressive to be able to do that and to have some fairly efficient game plans from week to week. What are his weaknesses? Red zone stagnation. That doesn't excite me. Lack of the easy buttons for quarterback one. That really doesn't excite me, because if you go on DetroitFootballJournal.com and you read any of the articles that I've written about any of the guys that I proposed, the easy buttons, they did them. This guy, not so much. Critics argue that he fails to create easy separation for wide receivers. We had that big problem this year. Huge problem. Jamison Williams had 0 separation at times. Amon-Ra St. Brown was not as effective as he used to be this year. And that was all that was all offensive coordinator driven. Now, his best fit, again, this was the initial research. Traditional pocket passer. That's his best fit as a coordinator. We have that. Jared Goff is listed as number 1. Where can he be utilized? Preferred under center play action systems. That's Detroit. Now, we like Jared Goff, at least I do, in more shotgun. What are his limits? He struggles to marry the gun run game required for Kyler Murray. The word required should catch your ears. It's required for Kyler Murray. It's not required for Jared Goff. So that's it. I mean, that's just a quick update. He's a run first kind of a guy. At times he can get too predictable. Trey McBride is a proof of concept for developing young talent. He utilizes the short horizontal passing concepts rather than deep vertical shots. I hope that changes. I really do. I hope that changes. All right, Skater Boy says, I wonder if he gets to pick his offensive staff here. If so, who are his hires? Yeah, I don't think so. That could be one of the biggest detractors for coming to Detroit. It could be one of the biggest detractors for coming to Detroit. I'm almost willing to bet that the entire offensive staff is going to remain in Detroit. If you notice, it pretty much did last year outside of the guys that got plucked, that left. And maybe certain guys didn't want to come to Detroit because they weren't able to pick their own staff. there's a possibility there Mike McDaniel probably wants his own staff. See, Dan Campbell wants his staff, his way, not the other way. It's a great question. I think what we have here, Arf, is we have an ebb and a flow here, man. We have pros and cons. There's going to be great things about this guy, and there's going to be things that we don't even know yet because he's been stuck in Arizona with a 5'8" quarterback that can't see over the offensive line, that struggled, to utilize the plays that, we're going to be utilizing in Detroit. Now, when Petzing comes in, he's going to realize he has all these toys and a quarterback that can see. That's going to change his game. So give me a couple of days, let me marinate on it, and I'll come back with a full report of what I really feel. And there's going to be good and bad. It's just the way it goes. There's going to be good and bad. But I think that there's going to be good and bad with everybody. I know that there's good and bad about me. There's good and bad about you. There's good and bad about everyone. Arf says, but Will is making it sound like it has hope to be successful. There's always going to be hope. There's always, like, that's the one thing we always have. Look, if I didn't have hope through cancer, I wouldn't have survived it, right? You always have to have hope. Glass half full all the time. All the time. We'll figure it out, man. This is just the beginning. I know that the SOL crowd and the doom and gloom crowd is going to come out in full effect. Look, if you don't give your team a chance, they're not going to want to play for you anyway. If you beat these guys into the ground and they see it and hear it, just like their families and kids see it and hear it, they're not going to want to play for you anyway. They're going to come in and punch a clock and collect a check. That's it. So if you want these guys to win, you might want to pipe down all of the hate breeding and start pumping up a little energy, a little good energy. I promise you, just being a little bit more kind in the world goes a long way. Go scream in the bathroom, man. Go scream in your pillow if you hate something. You put stuff out on the internet, it lasts forever. So we've been through that in Detroit. Some of these guys don't deserve the hate that they've received. They really don't. I know I don't deserve the hate that I get on. I got this stupid stalker that texts me every day, and that's not good. So, all right, I think I've been on now for a couple hours. I don't even know how long I've been on. Yeah, I've been on another 2 hours today. That's like 5 hours of live. I was planning on coming on tonight. I'm not coming on for another couple hours tonight. We just did it right now. So I'm going to sign off. We'll be back in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? I might come on tonight. We'll see how I feel. 8 o'clock in the morning for the Rise of Grind morning show. We're going to have a lot to uncover. I'm going to dig deep tonight and doing some research. So we'll have more information for you tomorrow. My ears will be peeled to the ground if any other hires are coming or people, guys are getting fired today. Who knows what's going to go on in Detroit? We'll keep our ears to the ground. If we hear anything, we'll do a quickie, but it won't be 2 hours. Or I'll pump out some videos. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the liking and sharing all that, it's not for me. When you like the video or the live, it's for you. That's to help put us in your algorithm. So if you're looking for Lions breaking news and content, you're going to see it more. It's you. It's really for you. It's not for me. The people that see the likes, great, but it's really to make sure that you continue to see our content. Would really be great if you could turn notifications on. You only get less than 3 notifications a day, and honestly, I haven't been doing that much content, so you might only get 1. Subscribe, please. Share it with a friend. And if you're an adult and you want great adult conversation and good football knowledge, this is the place to be. 28 years, Lions loyal member. And I'm currently still taking scout classes to become an NFL scout. Independent, of course. And we're just going to keep grinding, man. Independent media all the way. NFL credentialed. We'll be at the draft again this year. And we'll be at the Combine, getting you guys all the latest and greatest information right from the source. I'm working on, it's not going to happen. I was thinking about going to the Reese's Bowl, but Not going to happen. I can already see it's not going to happen. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I'm out of here. We'll see you guys in the morning, if not later tonight. DetroitFootballJournal.com. Don't forget, subscribe today. Get your 6-month subscription for free. All right? We'll see you guys later. Petzing. Welcome to Detroit, buddy. I'm going to give you a chance.
Pressured by Hutchinson.